Altering images with distort and noise filters. The distort filters, under filter menu and distort. These filters are going to use the most memory. So a lot of them create some sort of 3D effect, or they completely reshape an image. So you're going to notice a delay when you're using the distort filters. A couple of descriptions of the effects. With the waves and the twirls and the ripples, a lot of these are going to look as though it's in or underwater. The twirl gives much more of a circular effect to a layer. So you have to be cautious of those. The noise filters, these really add an appearance of texture. So these are quite easy to apply. I want to talk a little bit about memory usage when you're working with filters. So like we mentioned, a lot of these filters, all of them here, are very memory intensive, especially when working with additional masks and multiple filters, smart objects, all of those. So a couple of things you can do if your computer seems to be running really, really slow. You can go under the Edit menu and you can purge. You can purge your undos, you can purge your history, you can purge your clipboard, you can purge all of these. So by doing that, you're clearing the memory that Photoshop is saving for the work that you have done. That might help. This is a great thing to do if your computer seems to have froze up or nothing's working, but you want to get it saved, you want to get that file saved. Go under Edit, purge everything, then quickly do a file and save. Chances are you're going to get that saved. Going under Edit and Purge is great if you notice Photoshop is starting to really slow down. I'm going to show you an area that you can alter the amount of memory that Photoshop is using. I do want to caution you that it is not a good idea to go and start changing and altering settings in this area because it can cause huge issues with Photoshop. When you're on a PC, you would go under the Edit menu and you would find Preferences down towards the bottom. I'm on a Mac, so I don't see preferences there. Instead, I go under actually the Photoshop CC and I find preferences here. So regardless, you're going to see preferences in general. You can go ahead and click that. This will bring up my preferences dialog box, and actually all of the preferences that I can set are here over on the left. So the first thing I want to show you is going into Edit and Preferences and looking for your history state. Navigate to Performance. Here you're going to find history states. So in this case I have 50 set. That means that Photoshop is remembering the last 50 tasks that I have done. This is quite large. By default, it's usually 20, so yours may be set at 20. If you're finding that Photoshop is really struggling and it's running extremely slow, then I would suggest decreasing your history states. You can go really high with this history state. If you notice that the scrubby slider here allows me to go up to 1,000. You never want to have your Photoshop set to 1,000. That's completely pointless. So like I said, 20 is the default. Yours may be set at a different amount. Just depends on what you want. But if Photoshop is really struggling, you're going to want to have that be smaller. So that's the history states text box that you find in Preferences for Photoshop. Now, while we're here in the same spot, we have memory usage and the cache tile size. So this is where potentially changes could be made. For example, mine, I have, my available RAM listed here, and I'm giving Photoshop 69% to use. So if you are giving Photoshop a lot, your computer is going to crash. And if you're not giving Photoshop enough, Photoshop is going to crash. So there's a happy balance here, and I would really strongly suggest leaving this alone. Don't mess around with it. If you're having extreme issues and You can try to slightly adjust. Don't do anything extreme here, but document what it was at prior to changing it so that you can get back and change it, restore it to the original. So those are ways that you can potentially work with the memory that Photoshop is using. I would suggest starting with decreasing your history states here and purging your undos, your clipboard, and your history here.